So this is a demonstration of a constraint-based layout tool. I can start by creating a graphical element. When I manipulate these handles, there are constraints that require a certain portion of the image to always remain visible. So as I make it bigger or smaller in one axis, more or less of the image stays in view. I can also use these handles as ways to constrain a shape to its surroundings. So if I click on this, I can fix the left and right edges so that they will remain that distance from the edge of the screen. So now as I resize it, those edges stay fixed. I can switch that with a toggle to a proportionality constraint. So now when I move it, the right edge stays proportionally the same distance from the edge of the screen. If I bring in some text elements, these have a different resizing behavior. So if I drag them horizontally, that introduces white space. If I drag them vertically, it changes the font size. So here I can take a text element and drag it, and when it hits the edge, when it hits the edge, it will create a constraint that matches the one that's already there. So if I take this and move it, both of those elements move together. I can also introduce a margin. So in this case, both of those shapes will remain a fixed margin away from the edge. I can do the same thing with the right edge, and if I want those margins to be the same, I can select both of those and manipulate them and get an equal margin. So when I resize this window now, the text doesn't resize. So I might want it to. I could turn on a proportionality constraint. So now the width of this text element will become proportional to the size of the window. I can also slide this up and say that I want to fix its vertical positioning relative to the bottom of the image. So now when I resize it, or when I move the image up and down, those two elements stay together. There are other types of constraints that you can create. So for example, instead of making the width of this element proportional to the width of the screen, I might want to make it proportional to the height of this element. So I can drag that over to the width of this. Now if I resize this image vertically, the text will change sizes.